Good evening, everybody. This is Citizen Slave with episode 9 of our Space Engineers Let's Play in survival mode. I did get all of this welded up. I said I was going to do that yesterday. There's 4 pistons up here, there's 2 pistons over here, and there's actually 3 over here. We used to be up to 2, but since I added a piston here, I figured I'd go ahead and add one over here too, so we could try to be consistent with our depth. I did also label all of this. I have a rotor up there at the top. It's given us a little bit extra height. Again, another reason why I wanted to put 3 pistons here instead of just the 2 that we did have. So like I said, these are all extended. I haven't actually tested the drilling yet. I had this fully extended so I could see if we could actually swing all the way around. We can. I mean, I suppose I could demonstrate that, but that's really not that interesting. What'll be far more interesting is to see if it does actually drill properly without causing all kinds of explosions. But what I want to do first is I want to try to find this hole, which should be 17.5 total meters of extension, because we did have 35 meters when I was counting out evenly. I ended up, because they're 2.5 blocks, or 2.5 meters, I'm sorry, 2.5 meters to a block. And so we had enough conveyors to get, making it simple to count, 35 meters, but then there was actually one extra conveyor there, so it was actually 37.5 altogether. And with 4 pistons there, that is 20 meters, so 17.5 meters of extension in total between those 4 pistons should line us back up with that hole. And the reason I want to do that is mostly just so that I can see if we're actually getting down further than we already are, in the name of trying to have consistency in terms of how deep everything is when we drill down to the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do first. Like I said, I did go through and label all of these pistons. So we've got our drill extender pistons that are actually attached to the drills, our drill position pistons, which are the ones branching across, and our drill retractor pistons, which are the ones feeding into the cargo container. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these position pistons and I'm going to reverse all of them so that they're all coming back to their fully retracted position. I am sharing inertial tensioners tensors, with all of the rotors and all of the pistons. So that should keep things from wobbling a little bit. All right, now that those are fully retracted, I'm going to pick one of them and I'm going to reverse it out all the way. And then I'm going to pick a second one and I'm going to set its maximum distance to 7.5 meters. And that should give us 17.5 in total. Then I'm going to reverse that one. So that should be our first 2 here. The first one will be fully extended. The second one will be about 3/4 of the way out. And that should be lining us up with our hole. We'll go and take a quick look over here just to see, kind of eyeball it and see if it looks about right. And it looks like it might be about right. Whatever, it's close enough. We're just digging holes here. This doesn't have to be precision work. Alright, so we have got a group of drills. That is all of them. Turn those on. And then we've got our extender pistons, which there's 3, and our retractor pistons, which there's 2. I have not set the speeds on these yet, and since I want to get about 0.2 in total, spread out across 5 pistons, that means I want to do 0.04 for all of these in terms of velocity. So this one's going to be negative. These 2 are going to be negative. I can do these in a group. And then these 2 retractor pistons need to be positive 0.04. So since there's 5 pistons times 0.04, that should be 0.2 in total. Now that that is set on all 5 of them, I can select all 5 of them and reverse. And pray, we need to start that rotor. That is our drill rotor. Turn that on, turn off the rotor lock, and that is spinning as it was before at 6 RPMs. Looks like we still got some wobble there. Do I have inertial tensors on all of them? Drill rotor, share tensor, share, 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 and then our mine rotor, which is the one that is at the top here, controlling the position of our drills rather than the rotation of them, is also sharing. So that wobble's just inevitable. There's nothing we can do about that one, apparently. And it does look like we're following where our hole already was. So we're not going to get a whole lot of resources out of this unless this is actually longer than it used to be, which there's a very real possibility that it is. See, this is why I was worried about putting too many pistons up here. I think 4 might be an okay number, hopefully. We'll see if it explodes on the way down. We can actually ride it down. I may regret this if it explodes. You know what? Quick save. I am trying to avoid saves coming, but when I'm doing something crazy just for the sake of the video, I might as well. Looks like we are still mostly following our hole. That's to be expected. It wasn't the start. Getting some additional resources for sure. See how we look when we get past the magnesium here. Now, since all these are going at the same speed, the extender and retractor pistons, then they should all reach 10 at the same time. So we can see how our progress is just by checking one of them. So we've still got about 20 meters to go. No, math. 15 meters to go. 3 meters on each piston. Meters to go. Yeah, they're staying lined up. Good. Probably picked up some magnesium there. Okay, so we filled up the small cargo container. And we're getting a bunch of... Yeah, we're definitely drilling deeper than we were. I think that's too much for scraping sides there. We're still getting shaken around a little bit here. I don't think it's having much of an impact on stability or anything like that. I think it's okay. And we are all the way down. I should probably group these. Because now that they're all attached, they will be extending and reversing at the same time and at the same speed. So now we are on our way back up. In my one script to rule them all, what I may end up doing is setting all this up on a script so that it'll go down at a slow pace, come up at a slightly quicker one because we don't have to worry about binding the drills on the bottom when we're going up. And maybe even have it manipulate the mine rotor that rotates this whole arm and the position pistons that shift it back and forth automatically so that we can do basically drilling until we feel like stopping or until the cargo reaches a certain point. You know, the amount of stone we have collected reaches a certain point. Something we could do. Whether or not we will, you know, we'll see. if you're interested in seeing how that script would work, let me know in the comments. I will take that under advisement. I mean, basically, I have very few viewers at this point. This is a new channel, so I want to thank everybody who is watching. I know I only have one other subscriber. Um, it lists two, but one of them is my personal YouTube account rather than my gaming YouTube account, so that doesn't really count. That's just me subscribing to myself. But I do have one real subscriber, so thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. And I get more than that in terms of views, so there are people who are watching this, even if they're not subscribed. I encourage you to subscribe, obviously, because that serves my purposes, but, you know, then you'll also be made aware of when I post new videos. Hope you're enjoying them. I hope it's the same people watching again and again, not just, you know, random people watching for a few minutes thinking, oh, this guy sucks, and then turning it off. But yeah, so anyway, I have very few subscribers, so if even one person really wants to see what a drilling script might look like to operate this apparatus, let me know, and I will by all means do that. And I do still intend at some point to do an inventory management script. But what we're going to do today, once this is done doing what it's doing, is do some industrial upgrades, because we did find silver and gold in the last episode, being our last two resources that we can't get from stone, other than magnesium. Magnesium can be refined in a basic refinery. We don't need a whole lot of it. We've got what we're probably going to need for the foreseeable future. We could have put some turrets up here for defense against wolves and meteors, especially, because meteors will actually destroy the base. Wolves, to my knowledge, will not. But it would make some sense for us to have turrets on here just so that we don't suffer a meteor strike and have important things getting destroyed. But that's still not going to take a whole lot of magnesium to keep us in ammunition for some turrets. But what I was saying is that we did find silver and gold. Those are the other two resources that we need to worry about, you know, planet side. Primarily silver, so that we can build another survival kit or a medical bay or, you know, that sort of thing. Gold we will need for some more advanced stuff like jump drives and gravity generators and all that, but really there's no rush on that front. But silver and gold cannot be refined in a basic refinery. Neither can platinum, I don't think, and I'm not sure about uranium. I've never actually collected any platinum or uranium since in recent versions, but I'm pretty sure that they don't refine in a basic refinery. So we do need to have a full refinery. We've also got a basic assembler, which is, you know, great, super, it's doing what we need it to do, but at some point we will need a full assembler. So what I think we are going to work on today is turning the drills off and turning the drill rotor off and locking it. Once that slows down, by virtue of not being pushed anymore, it will lock. Oh wow, we got a bunch of stone. Can we not fit it all in the large cargo container? No, we can fit it in there. It just decided to dump some in the survival kit because reasons. Yeah, this is why I want inventory management, so that it doesn't end up in there. This all belongs in the large cargo container. It doesn't even belong in the small one. So we did get some more magnesium. Got a bunch more stone. Look at all that. That will refine more quickly than the cobalt. So we are going to go ahead and skip the line here. Pull the magnesium back out. Yeah, it already chewed through the stone that was in there. Alright, now it's going full bore on the stone. It'll get through it relatively quickly. And it'll just kind of dump it wherever in ways that make no sense. So we'll have to manually put it where it belongs, down here in the large cargo container where we actually have tons of space for it. Yeah, we're getting up there towards halfway full on that. So you can see how much space, you know, ore and ingots will take up if you have a lot of them. Which we are positioned to have a lot of them because this is basically a massive resource creator. Not really creating it, of course. It's pulling up voxels and, you know, drilling out resources. So, yeah, But anyway, like I said, we want to put together a real refinery and a real assembler. Um, the real assembler is less important. I mean, it's nice because I don't think basic assemblers can do cooperative work. Oh, no, they do have a cooperative mode. Cool. Okay, well, I'm wrong then. But basic assemblers have a relatively limited number of components that they can build, whereas the full assemblers can build anything and everything that you'll need. So we do want to have a full assembler at some point. Um, Whether or not there's really a rush to do that, I'm not sure, but there is kind of a rush to get a full refinery because the basic assembler can create medical components, but it needs silver ingots to do it. And if you watch, we do have a little bit of silver here just so I can make a demonstration. We only have 36, so it's not like we have a lot. But if I put that in the basic refinery, it doesn't even accept it. It won't even take it in because the basic refinery can't refine silver. So what we're going to do here is we will build out. Why can't I place that? Oh, I built it, but I didn't actually pull it out. I know how to play this game. We're just going to build out this platform a little bit, and we'll attach it to the other side of the hydrogen tank. So, refinery. Now this is big. It takes a lot of steel plates. It's 1,200 steel plates. Now some of those go at the top, so they're not actually necessary, but that's only 100 of them. So most of them we do actually need to construct and build and put in here. On the back we have 4 upgrade slots because they take 2 of those little ports each. You can split them across refineries, so if you want to build 2 refineries side by side and put an upgrade straddling the 2 of them, you can do that. I don't know if they're as effective if you do that. You might only get half their effectiveness. But anyway, we've got conveyor ports on the bottom, on the sides, and I think there's one on the top too. Yeah, the one on the top too. So we've got 4 conveyor connections all together. And we are just going to build this right here. Attaching on the side. Make sure we do actually attach it properly. That's important. Yeah, that was fine. So there we go. There's our refinery. Not, yeah, we still need to actually create the parts and put them in and all that good stuff. So let's use what we've got first. We need some metal grids, we need displays, we need motors, we need construction components. Oh, we don't need displays, never mind. I'll put those back. And we used up all the motors and construction components we actually need. Do we need small tubes? Nope, we don't need small tubes. Alright, pretty sure there weren't any interior plates there. No, no interior plates. Okay, so we need 20 large steel tubes. We need 16 more metal grids. I think that was 20 computers. Yep, 20 computers. And then we need 1,098 steel plates. So I'm just going to go ahead and make all 1,100. There's only 2 in there, and we will use 2 steel plates over the course of the next forever. So that's fine. Control Shift will get you 1,000, and then Shift will get you 100. A full assembler is also faster. I'm a little less worried about speed at this point, though. And my main concern is getting a refinery so that we can actually get silver, and we can get medical components, and we can build a ship that has a survival kit on it. Because once you've got a ship with a survival kit, really, you can go anywhere. As long as you can find rock, you can rebuild. It's obviously going to be faster if you go with a little bit more already done and put together. But you can do what you need to do. I mean, we did it when we started here. We had just nothing but a survival kit, and now we've built all of this glorious whatever. But so we do want to get another, 3 medical components so we can build another survival kit. And maybe we'll attach it to the battery and do something, with that, build ourselves a ship. But yeah, so this is what we're focusing on for now, is getting this refinery done. We can go ahead and put this stuff in. And then we're just waiting on all those steel plates to complete. Pretty happy with this. Drills a nice deep hole. And can drill it pretty much anywhere within range there. And our range is about 60 meters. We've got 4 pistons that amounts to 20 meters in length, fully retracted. And each piston can extend up to 10 meters, so that's an additional 40. So that is 60 meters. So we can do 60 meters, 60 meter radius from that point all the way around here. Now obviously we'd have some issues drilling along this line, just by virtue of the fact that, there's already stuff here, and if we tried to bring the drill down on, it would land on top of it and be a problem. On that note, I mentioned a couple times that we really want more power production, and this refinery is going to take more power than the basic refinery. So our basic refinery here takes 330 kilowatts to run, whereas this refinery that is incomplete takes 560 kilowatts to run, so it's not quite double. Now we can't put power efficiency modules on here, and that'll bring it way down. I think you can actually get it below the power requirements of the basic refinery. But ideally we would like to put, either speed or yield modules on this instead of power efficiency. Power efficiency is basically, the one that you sometimes need to use, whereas speed and yield are the ones that you actually want to use, because yield will save you some mining, and speed obviously will save you some time. But are we going to do that today? No, I don't think we are, because we've got a battery here, and the battery can supply up to 12 megawatts. That's the max output here, 12 megawatts. It's also the max input. By the way, a lot of the reason why this went down so low is because it was charging up the battery on the rover. You'll see this battery is fully charged now. It's yellow because it's in recharge mode, so it won't actually, give you any power. But it is fully charged, and it charges at 3 megawatts, 4 megawatts. Four megawatts. It charges, faster than the machines we have as far as power drain goes. Go ahead and label these so they're a little bit easier to pick apart. How are we doing here on production? Our stone's all been chewed through. See, we have another 10,000, almost 11,000 iron ingots there. None of this stuff needs to be in there anymore. We've got our metal grids and all that stuff. We're just doing plates now. Inventory management. With the nickel. Iron needs to stay there. The iron's actually being used in the assembler. Got a lot of cobalt now. Doesn't look like a lot compared to how much iron we have, but we don't need much of it. The metal grids take 1 ingot of cobalt, and that's really all we're using cobalt for at this point. I think that's all we can actually build with cobalt in the basic assembler. Yeah, there's nothing else in the basic assembler that even takes cobalt. Oh, steel plates, that's what we were doing. Go ahead and take those. Take what we can carry of those. Stick them in. Take those again. What we can carry of those again. Stick them in. And we can carry, as you saw, about 337 altogether, so it does make sense to go ahead and do this even though they're not done. Because when they're all done, we won't be able to hold them all anyway. As soon as this finishes, this will pull in the 36 units of silver that we have and refine it. So in terms of next steps, we still got some time here, but I'm going to go ahead and finish the refinery, and I'll just basically spend the rest of the episode talking, besides waiting for those steel plates to finish. I'm thinking about sort of a mine-building rover that will have pretty much this attached to it. It's going to be large grid because we want it to have plenty of cargo space, and we want to actually put a refinery on it and an assembler as well, because the whole point here is that we're going to be building little standalone mines that will drill a hole down to the ore deposit and then give us the capability to refine the materials and assemble the components to drill out the bands of ore that we're going to find when we drill down deep enough. So rather than taking a drill out, the hand drill and the rover to go get silver, we'll take this mine construction rover over to the silver deposit, drill down to the silver deposit, and then build ourselves a permanent mine that will, work on pulling that silver out and loading it up into a cargo container that we can then just go pick up with a cargo rover. We could also build a mining ship. We could also just go do some by hand and load it up into the rover and bring it back, and that would serve our purposes. But I think that would be a fun thing to build and something that would be, kind of a useful thing to know how to do for the long term. I'll probably play around a little bit in creative off camera, just kind of proof of concept stuff, but then I will build the whole thing in survival here, rather than, creating a blueprint and trying to weld it up. We'll do stuff with blueprints at some point, but I think that, and this isn't a criticism of other YouTubers by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that there's some value to actually watching the construction process, even with a more complicated build. So I think it'll be fun to do that and to actually record the whole thing and turn that into an episode. But I am going to proof it out in creative first, just off camera, so that I'm not creating a 6-hour episode of me screwing it up over and over again. And I can just hopefully come in and do a half-hour, maybe a little bit longer episode of me actually, plunking the parts together, and then I'll weld it off camera as I do so often, just because running back and forth to cargo containers and queuing things up in the assembler is not exactly exciting. But the idea is that the rover will be, like I said, large grid. It will have the biggest wheels that we can put on it because we want it to be kind of an all-terrain vehicle. It'll have a basic refinery and a basic assembler on board, so that we can refine the stone and create the components on site to build our little mining apparatus. And then what it'll do is it'll basically have a little armor plating, armor block cap over the hole, with pistons and conveyors that go down to a bunch of no pistons, because we'll know what the depth is. We're going to drill through it, so there'll be no pistons going down, but there will be pistons kind of going out to the side, so that we can extend those pistons out sideways and drill out that band of ore, because we know where the ore is depth-wise, but we don't necessarily know the extent of it, going around here. So we'll be able to use pistons to kind of extend out and pull up everything that there is to pull up. And whether we actually attach a basic refinery or even an advanced refinery to the top kind of depends on the ore, and depends on how much cargo space we end up taking up. If it ends up being a whole bunch of ore that's in there, and we manage to have a decent power setup, because we'll have to power it also. We'll have at least one battery and probably at least one, if not more, wind turbines. If we do more wind turbines, then we'll be able to actually support a refinery on site. Otherwise, we'll go back and forth and cart the ore back, but carting the ingots will be a lot more efficient in terms of weight and volume, because you don't get a one-to-one ratio in terms of weight or volume as far as ore to ingots. You end up with less space being taken up by ingots. So if we refine it on site, then that's less cargo we have to carry back and forth. So I mean, initially we can just do the very basic, let's have a drill and stick it all in a cargo container. But as we get a little bit more advanced and know what we're doing a little bit better, we might be able to have kind of a blueprint that we kind of have a go-to for, okay, well, this is going to be our industrial processing unit of the mine. So we can have the mine, that'll have to be a little bit custom because, how far down we have to go and, how many drills we need to get the full thickness of the band and how many pistons we need to extend all the way to the edge of it and all that kind of stuff is going to be a little bit dependent on the deposit itself. But the refining process, once we bring that ore up, is going to be pretty standardized. And we're going to need to, provide pretty consistent amounts of power to that. So, I mean, it's basically going to be the power in the refinery is going to be what the blueprint is made up of. And once we get uranium from space and start bringing it down, we can run the whole thing off of reactors if we want to, but that means that we have to then supply the reactors with uranium, whereas wind turbine power will just be there and work. Not on the moon, obviously. On the moon, we'll have to make some different arrangements involving solar panels and stuff like that, but we can deal with that when we get to that point. We're not there yet. Gravel does not need to be in here. It needs to be in the large cargo container. As with silicon. Yeah, that's all going in the survival kit on the top because the survival kit can build stuff. And that's all the space that we have. This needs to get out of here and go into the large container as well. See how we were almost halfway full, but now that we got rid of all that stone, we're down to about 10%, a little bit more. I realized in a previous video I said something about 10%. It was actually 1%, so if anybody was screaming about the math, I'm sure you've probably commented already if you're going to, but I did realize that I screwed that up when I was watching it again, so thanks. Anyway, here we go. Welding it up. Energy low. Let's go recharge, then we'll finish welding it up. You do get another warning for energy. It is warm here, so even if we did run out of energy entirely, we probably would take a very long time to die. But let's not screw around with that, shall we? Some things are worth playing games with, some things aren't. Especially when we're this close. There are 2 steel plates left in the cargo there, but we actually were 2 over because we stuck 2 of them in here. Or we had 1 left over after we used the one initial one to place this. So we stuck it in here, and I made 1100 anyway. So we didn't go over the amount we need to make this functional, and we still have 2 left in the cargo. We'll use them. Steel plates are used in just about everything. We'll use them. Boom, done. So if I look in here, it's already pulled in some cobalt. It's pulling in stuff because, I mean, it needs to make stuff, so it's doing it. We had 36 kilograms of silver. That's refining now because this is a full refinery. It can handle it. And it refined down to 3.6 kilograms of silver ingots. And the medical components capacity I can't see. 6.67, I think that says. So we don't even have enough silver to make 1 medical component. And we pulled that out of a crater. So I mean, getting minerals from craters is certainly not the most efficient way. Now, when you have uranium, it takes very little uranium to actually be useful in terms of, you can stick it in a reactor, it'll do stuff. Our assembler can't create reactor parts though. Reactor components is not one of the things that is on here, so we need a full assembler to create reactor components. But yeah, so we didn't get very much silver out of that. We are going to have to go drill some up if we actually want to make some medical components and build a new survival kit or a medical bay or anything cool like that. But we are running out of time, so I got the refinery done. That's pretty much all we did. That and testing the modified drilling apparatus. But like I said, between this episode and next, I will play around a little bit in creative mode, do some proof of concept on that rover, and that's probably what we'll do next episode, unless I think of something else and an excuse to procrastinate doing that. Um, so I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Likes and comments are appreciated. Especially again if you want to see a mining drill script to control this thing and do it a little bit more automated than needing to sit here and manually monitor what it's doing, how far down it's going, and all that. Please let me know in the comments. I will take direction from even a single person at this point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye.